Okay, today is October 1st, which means it's maintenance day for my printers. I do maintenance the first of every month on all my printers. Some of them are printing right now, so I'll wait until they stop, till they finish before I do theirs. But I'm just going to show you on my Ender 3 V3 Plus here what I tend to do. First thing I do is I make sure I disable the stepper motors, which is this button right here. It says off. Okay, you want to make sure your motors are disengaged so that you can freely move the bed without damaging the motors. I double check, first of all, make sure nothing is loose, make sure there's no wobble in my print bed, make sure there's no wobble in the print head, make sure everything's moving nice and smoothly. I check the belts for any wear, make sure they're not loose. Make sure there's no signs of them shredding or any missing teeth. Then I wipe off the rails. I just use an old piece of paper towel. You can use a microfiber cloth as well. I do both these rails and these. You just slide the print head over. It's a little tricky doing it one-handed. But I move all that. Again, check the belts here. Make sure the tension looks good. Make sure there's no missing teeth or any signs of shredding. I'm going to finish wiping off the belt there, the rail there. Move it back this way. Right, wipe off this end. Just like that. Get all of that off. Nice and clean. I also check under the bed, make sure there's no pieces of little filament like this trapped under there, and I'll go ahead and pull those out. You can also use a small vacuum to do this, or a can of compressed air. Just want to make sure there's nothing that can get bound up into anything. So you can see, blow that out. I'm going to do the same with the other thing. I'm going to move the bed forward. You can see there's some trapped filament that gets back here. Again, I'm just going to make sure I clean it all off. Clean off the excess grease off the rail. Check this end of the belt. Everything looks good there. Go ahead and get any debris out of the way. Clean off the bed. You can see there's some strands of filament, if I can get a picture of it, over here that I just need to make sure I get out. I'm going to pull those out. Okay, I'm going to check my PFTE tubes, make sure everything looks good, there's no splits or cracks in them. It's especially important for CFS units, but it's also good to check all of your printers. Make sure there's no signs of wear or damage. Make sure everything else looks nice and tight. Then I'm going to re-grease everything. And I'm just using the metal grease that Creality sends with its printers, because I still have a bunch of this from getting new printers. But you can also use any kind of white lithium grease, etc. And I'm just going to put a little bit on each of the rails like that. And I just use my finger. You can print a tool, but it's one of those things I've never gotten around to doing, so I just use my fingertip. It works. It works. I'm just going to go around each rail. There's a piece of lint or something I missed. Let me pull that off. There we go. There we go. Give it a nice little coat. Move the print head down the other way. Coat the rest. And how often you do this is going to depend on how much you print. My printers pretty much go 24/7, so I find once a month works well for me. These printers I've had since January. My older printers I've had for multiple years, but yeah, keeping them nice and in working order. is important. I'm going to go ahead and slide this up. I'm going to head and grease these back rails. Again, get anything that I missed. I didn't want to use my vacuum. I'll get that a little bit later. I didn't want to use my little vacuum on the video, so I'll go through and get those later. Again, just give it a good rub. There's a little piece of fuzz there I missed. Also, doing it with my fingers, I can feel any imperfections that you might not feel doing it with the tool. So that's nice too. If you have any, you can feel any nicks or scrapes that maybe are developing on your rods. The other rods to check are these Z-rods back here. I'm trying to get a picture. Let me see if I can get a better picture. But the Z-rods back there, I will do the same thing with. I'm going to do that off camera. There you can see it right. There's the belts. Again, I inspect those belts. Make sure they're snug. Make sure there's no signs of wear or shredding. And yeah, so I'll check these rods, Z-rods back here. The little rods that are back here, they're kind of hidden on the 3 Plus. You can see them. I'm trying to get back there. There you go. You can see them. I will clean those the same way off camera so I can get to it, so I can pull it out easier and do it with 2 hands. But yeah, that's the basic thing. And then the last thing I always do is I'm going to wash the print bed in just Dawn dish soap and water. And I come over here to the system. Let me find it again. And go down to self-check. And I'm going to run both self-checks. I do this like again, the first of every month. And I usually don't have to recalibrate the printer every print. So once a month, I do that. I wait for it to finish, wash the build plate, and that's it. I move on to the next printer to do its maintenance. So yeah, I hope that helps. What you actually do to your printer is going to vary depending on which printer you have. Most manufacturers will have maintenance tips or videos on their websites or on their wikis. Creality has a great wiki.creality.com with all kinds of great information on it for every printer they have. So yeah, it's highly recommended to go check that out. But yeah, that's my basic maintenance routine. If I do notice any issues with tubes or the belts, I'll go ahead and replace them. I haven't had to replace a belt on these printers yet. These are my 5 newer printers. I have replaced it on my CR6 SEs and CR10 that's over in the other print room that I'll do later. But yeah, that's my basic routine. And if you have any questions, let me know below. Have a great day.